My husband said it wasn't cheating. And for a while, I believed him because nothing physical had happened. No touching, no meetings, no obvious line crossed. Just conversations. That's what he told me. Just talking. And at first, that sounded harmless. My husband said it wasn't cheating. And for a while, I believed him because nothing physical had happened. No meetings, no touching. No clear line crossed, just conversations. That's what he said. And I told myself the same thing. It's just talking. People talk. That's not a betrayal. But something kept pulling at me. A quiet feeling I couldn't explain and couldn't quite dismiss. Because if it was really just talking, why did it feel like something was slowly being taken from me? It started with her name appearing more often. Not hidden, not secret, just present. She mentioned something interesting today. I was talking to her earlier. Small things, easy to dismiss, because he wasn't hiding it. And when something isn't hidden, you don't usually question it. That's what made it feel safe. I didn't go looking for anything. His phone lit up while he was in the shower, and I glanced at it the way you do when it's right in front of you. No suspicion, no reason, just a reflex. But the message wasn't work. It wasn't casual. It had a tone I recognized, not from her, but from a time when he used to write to me that way. Warm, personal, like someone who felt completely safe, saying exactly what they meant. And I stood there, trying to remember the last time he had spoken to me like that. It wasn't romantic, not in an obvious way. No hearts, no flirting, no words you could point to and say, that's the moment. But there was something else, something harder to define. The way she spoke to him, like she already understood things I hadn't heard yet, and the way he responded. Longer than necessary, more thoughtful than usual, more present. And suddenly a question formed that I couldn't shake. When did just talking start feeling like this? I tried to tell myself I was overthinking it. There was nothing obvious. No flirting, no messages that clearly crossed a line. Just long conversations, late at night, more frequent than I expected. And what made it harder was that I couldn't point to a single moment and say, that's where it started. Because it didn't start in one place. It built slowly, the way water finds cracks you didn't know were there. And by the time you notice, something has already shifted underneath everything. Because if there's no clear boundary, how do you know when it's already been crossed? A few days later, I noticed something else. He started smiling at his phone. Not often, not in a way that stood out immediately, but enough that I noticed. It didn't happen when we talked, only when he was messaging her, and that difference stayed with me. I didn't confront him right away, because I didn't have proof, just a feeling. And feelings are easy to dismiss. But then something changed. Not in what he said, but in what he stopped saying. He was telling her things he hadn't told me. I realized it slowly, through fragments, topics I recognized, things he had kept inside, but was suddenly sharing, just not with me. And that's when it stopped feeling harmless. I started noticing something I couldn't ignore. He was telling her things he hadn't told me, not big secrets, just small, personal things, thoughts, frustrations, moments from his day. The kind of things he used to share with me first, without thinking, like a reflex. But now that reflex had changed direction, and I was no longer at the other end of it. It didn't feel like cheating, but it felt like something that used to belong to me had quietly been given somewhere else, and I hadn't even noticed until it was already gone. That night, I asked him about her, carefully, not accusing, just curious. You've been talking to her a lot lately. He didn't hesitate. Yeah, she's easy to talk to. Easy to talk to. The words landed quietly, but they stayed, because they explained everything, without actually explaining anything. I nodded, let the conversation move on. But something had already settled inside me. This wasn't about what had happened. It was about what was already happening. That sentence stayed with me, longer than anything else. She's easy to talk to. Not defensive. Not guilty. Just honest. And somehow, that made it worse, because it didn't sound like a mistake. It sounded like a preference. He said, she's easy to talk to. And it didn't sound like an excuse. It didn't sound defensive. It sounded like the truth. And I remember sitting with that sentence, turning it over slowly, because something about it felt more honest than anything he had said in months, which meant he wasn't hiding it. He wasn't ashamed of it. He had simply stopped noticing what it was doing to us. And maybe so had I. For a few days, I didn't check anything, didn't look at his phone, didn't bring her up again, because I wanted to believe that naming it had made it smaller, less important, but it didn't. If anything, it became clearer, because once you notice something, you start seeing it everywhere. The way he paused before answering me, the way his attention shifted when his phone lit up, the way conversations with me ended faster, but continued with her. And slowly the question changed. It wasn't, is this cheating? It became something quieter and harder. Why does it feel like I'm being replaced? A week later, he left his phone on the kitchen counter, unlocked, just for a moment. I wasn't planning to look. I really wasn't. But the screen was already open, and the message was already there. By then, I already knew I wasn't going to like what I saw. I didn't read the whole conversation, just the last line, the most recent one, from him. I wish I could see you. I wish I could see you. I just stood there, not reacting, not thinking, just still. Because that sentence didn't belong in just talking. It didn't belong in anything harmless. It belonged somewhere else entirely. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay next to him in the dark and thought about a word I had been avoiding for weeks. Not cheating. That felt too simple, too clean, too easy to argue with. What I kept coming back to was something smaller, something harder to name. Replacement. Not of me entirely, but of the version of him that used to bring his thoughts to me first. The one who used to say what was on his mind before it had time to settle somewhere else. The next morning, I told him what I had seen. Not angrily, not dramatically, just quietly. The way you speak when you are no longer afraid of the answer. I saw the message, I said. I wish I could see you. He didn't deny it. He didn't explain it. He just exhaled slowly, like he had been carrying it and was finally setting it down. I know, he said quietly. I know how that looks. Then tell me what it is, I said, because I've spent weeks trying to figure out what to call this, and I don't have a word for it yet. He was quiet for a long time. She understands something about me that I haven't been able to explain to you. I waited. Not because you wouldn't listen, he said carefully, but because I don't think I understood it myself until I started talking to her. What is it? I asked. He looked at his hands. That I've been unhappy. Not with you. With myself. With where I am. With who I've become. And instead of telling you, I found someone who was going through the same thing, and it became easier to go there than to bring it home. The words settled between us. Heavy. Honest. Too honest, almost. Why didn't you tell me you were unhappy? I asked. He looked at me then. Really looked. Because you always seem so certain. About everything. About us. About the future. And I didn't want to be the one who made that uncertain. I sat with that longer than anything else he had said. Because he wasn't wrong. I was certain. Confidently, quietly certain. In a way that had never made room for him to be anything else. That morning, we sat at the kitchen table for almost 2 hours. He told me things he had been carrying for longer than I realized. And I listened, the way I should have been doing for months. Without fixing, without solving, without filling the silence with reassurance. Just listening. He ended the conversations with her, not because I asked, but because he said, once he had said it out loud to me, he didn't need to say it somewhere else anymore. It didn't fix everything. We still had work to do, and we did it, slowly, imperfectly, the way real things get repaired. But I understood something I hadn't before. An emotional affair doesn't always begin with wanting someone else. Sometimes it begins with not knowing how to stay. He wasn't looking for another person. He was looking for a place where his unhappiness made sense. And I had been so certain, so present and confident and stable, that I had accidentally made our home the one place he couldn't bring his doubt. My husband said it wasn't cheating. And looking back now, the question I should have asked wasn't whether he was right. It was why he needed somewhere else to go to say the things that should have been safe to say to me. Because the answer to that question was the one that changed everything. Not the messages, not her name, not the line he crossed or didn't cross, but the quiet distance that had grown between us, invisible, ordinary, unremarkable, until the day he found it easier to talk to a stranger than to come home to me.